Founders Academy is a 3-part learning journey designed around the real stages of company building. Lesson 7. Building a product that finds product market fit, PMF. From MVP to PMF. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to define what product market fit actually means, identify the 4 early stages that PMF is forming, use the PMF Loop Framework to reach PMF faster, measure PMF using 5 real metrics, operate a simple weekly PMF dashboard, and know when to pivot, persevere, or expand. Most founders talk about product market fit as if it is a moment, a spike in growth, investors suddenly paying attention, press coverage, a sense that things have clicked. In reality, those are outcomes, not PMF itself. Product market fit is far quieter and more behavioral. It shows up in how users act when you are not pushing them, reminding them, or incentivizing them. This lesson is about stripping PMF of the romance and replacing it with a system founders can actually run. Section 1. What product market fit really is. Most founders believe PMF looks like explosive growth, investors chasing them, or a single big client signing on. But true PMF is much simpler. You have built something that people use repeatedly without being pushed. Product market fit is consistent, organic, repeated engagement from a clearly defined customer segment. Not all customers, not random spikes, not one large client, a specific segment that keeps coming back because the product meaningfully solves a problem for them. Section 2. The 4 signs of early PMF. Early PMF rarely looks obvious, but it leaves clear signals. The first is repeat behavior. People come back without reminders, discounts, or constant nudging. The second is emotional reaction. Users say things like, "I need this," "I can't go back to the old way," or "if you removed this, I'd be stuck." The third is concentration of love. You do not need everyone to love your product. You need roughly 15 to 30% of users to be genuinely obsessed. The fourth signal is pull over push. Demand starts coming to you. You are responding rather than chasing. Section 3. The PMF Loop Framework. Product market fit is earned through repetition, not luck. The core tool is the PMF Loop, a 5-step cycle founders repeat weekly or bi-weekly until PMF appears. The loop starts with finding a painful problem by talking directly to customers. It continues by building a tiny solution, never more than a week of work. That solution is shipped to real users, not friends. You then measure usage, not opinions. Finally, you refine what works or replace what doesn't, and repeat the loop again. Speed creates iteration. Iteration gives insight. Insight creates PMF. Section 4. The 5 real metrics of PMF. Most metrics founders track before PMF are noise. There are only 5 that matter. The first is retention. If people do not come back, you do not have PMF. For this, you can measure day 30, week 4, or feature level retention. The second is engagement depth. How much do users actually do in a session? Shallow use signals weak fit, while deep use signals resonance. The third is activation rate. How many users reach the aha moment? Higher activation accelerates PMF. The fourth is referral or word of mouth. PMF creates natural evangelism that cannot be forced. The fifth is willingness to pay. If users will not pay even a small amount, the pain point you are solving for is likely too low. One of the hardest lessons for founders is that growth is not the same thing as fit. Revenue growth, user growth, and investor interest can all exist without true product market fit underneath. These signals are visible and exciting, which is why they are so often misread. Vanity traction feels good, but fades quickly. It often comes from marketing spend, discounts, personal networks, or founder energy. When pressure is removed, the system slows down. Real product market fit behaves differently. Usage stabilizes instead of decaying. Cohorts flatten instead of collapsing. Referrals happen quietly without incentives. Price increases may slow growth, but they do not kill demand. The simplest way to frame it is this: if your product disappeared tomorrow, would users be genuinely upset, or would they simply move on? That answer tells you far more than any other dashboard. Section 5. The 7-day PMF Sprint. Until PMF is achieved, founders should operate in a simple weekly rhythm. The week begins with customer conversations, usually 5 to 10 user calls focused on extracting pain, language, and frustration. The middle of the week is a mini build, 1 or 2 features maximum, following a strict 7-day build rule with no perfection allowed. The product is then shipped to 10 to 30 test users with no paid campaigns and manual onboarding if needed. Measurement follows, focusing on retention, engagement, activation, and drop-offs. The week ends with a review where what does not work is cut and what does work is doubled down on, and the PMF loop is reset for the next week. This rhythm creates momentum, which always comes before PMF. Section 6. The PMF Dashboard. To keep focus, founders should maintain a simple weekly PMF dashboard. This includes new users, returning users, activation percentage, 7-day retention, and top 3 actions per user, the top 3 complaints, the top 3 compliments, 1 feature to cut, 1 feature to improve, and 1 test to run next week. The goal is not completeness, but clarity. Simplicity is power. One great test to see if you have PMF is the Sean Ellis test. It is also one of the most misused. The question is, how would you feel if you could no longer use this product? 1, very disappointed. 2, somewhat disappointed. 3, not disappointed. The rule is simple. If 40% or more say very disappointed, you may have PMF. But here's where founders go wrong. They ask the wrong users. They ask too early. They ignore segmentation. They average the result across very different use cases. This test only works if you survey active users, not signups. You segment by use case and customer type. You look at why people would be disappointed. Often, PMF exists, but only for one narrow gap. That's not failure. That's a signal. Section 7. When to pivot, persevere, or expand. Founders should pivot when retention remains below 10%, when users remain indifferent even after improvements, and when the pain is not low or urgent, or when the founders believe in the idea. They should persevere when a small segment truly loves the product, when single segment retention is strong, and when users complain because they want more, not less. Expansion comes only when retention is consistent, users return without prompting, usage patterns are repeatable, and the core segment is clearly defined. Scaling, fundraising, and aggressive hiring should never come before product market fit. To diagnose PMF properly, use this formula. User times use cases times willingness to pay. Ask, which users stay the longest? Which use cases drive repeat behavior? Who pays without discounts or pressure? True PMF sits where all 3 overlap. If users love it but won't pay, PMF is incomplete. If users pay but churn, PMF is fragile. If one segment pays, stays, and refers, that's your wedge. Here's an assignment for you founders. Choose one small customer segment. Interview 5 people this week. Identify the number 1 pain, build 1 tiny solution in 7 days, and ship it to 10 users. Measure retention and usage after 7 days. Report your PMF Loop score by asking whether the pain was identified, the build was shipped, and usage was observed. Build and start filling out your dashboard. Here's another exercise to show that you have really nailed it. Your task after this lesson is to stop guessing and start observing. Using the last 90 days of data, build a simple view of reality. Look at retention by cohort and by segment. Look at how often users return and why. Look at who pays, who churns, and who refers others without being asked. You're not looking for perfection or certainty. You are looking for patterns. Product market fit does not demand confidence. It demands honesty. Key takeaways. Product market fit is a repeated pattern, not a moment. Retention is the only real proof. The PMF Loop is your operating system. Build small, ship fast, and measure truth.